The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys Nation, welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Bonnie Jo Laughlin, and Christy Scales. Ladies, how y'all doing?
I missed y'all last week.
I missed
It
y'all
was
too.
weird.
It was a little weird. How y'all doing?
Did y'all like it on the other shows?
It was fun. It was
Absolutely.
nice to
You enjoyed
kind of mix it up.
Yeah.
I had
liked it.
Patrick, Heckma, and Ambar on the show. I'm not going to lie to y'all. We had a time.
I saw.
We had a time.
I saw.
Time was... Hey! Come on, Jazzy.
I
All right,
saw.
ladies.
You guys are very entertaining.
It was time. Hopefully it is a time this week for the Cowboys.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they'll be not having so much of a time with all these injuries, though. Just a quick little update. Jerry Jones spoke on 105.3 The Fan and mentioned that Deron Bland and Micah Parsons will be kind of a game day decision, time decision. But when you look at that long list still of the Cowboys injuries, Eric Kendricks still kind of questionable. DeMarcus Lawrence still has, I think, another week left to be on IR along with Brandon Cooks. And then, of course, like I mentioned, Michael Parsons and Deron Bland, huh?
It's been that long since
the
D-Law got
Giants.
put on.
Yeah.
Barnacles.
I know.
Wow.
It feels a minute. But yeah, no, just talking about that list and possibly facing another week without a Micah Parsons, without Deron Bland, especially going against the 49ers. How
Yeah, but the
crucial is that?
49ers have
Yeah.
so
They
many
do.
injuries.
We're
So
gonna get to
I
that.
feel like it's
Absolutely.
an equal match now. Like looking at it earlier in the season, I was like, no, this is an L. But now,
Yeah,
it could be a W.
this may be the time. I mean, who would have guessed that the 49ers would have a losing record?
Yes.
Going
That part.
into
and all their offensive weapons are hurt.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
Oh, and terrible. I mean, their injuries.
And I hate to
have
see it, though.
been-
You hate to see any,
Yeah,
people
but,
injured,
you know,
especially their star players.
Exactly. They lose the NFL Offensive Player of the
Yeah.
Year from last year, and the guy that
Madden
comes in
curse, they
is
say.
second in the NFL in rushing behind only Derrick Henry, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
here you go
And
again.
he may
But-
not be the whole season now. I mean, it's looking bad with that. Anytime it's an Achilles, we always know.
Right. Right.
Could be a
Yeah, and there
while.
was word that McCaffrey had gone to Germany
did.
to see a specialist.
He went to Derek Jeter's
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. So, but the run game it was tough sledding against Kansas City because I know everyone thinks about Mahomes and Kelsey, but it's the defense in Kansas City that is playing so well. And when Brock Purdy is scoring your rushing touchdowns, that's not
And that's
necessarily
the worst
by
game I've
design,
seen
yeah.
Brock Purdy play.
By
actually.
design, yeah. He had a low
horrible.
passer rating,
37,
and
26.
lowest of his or second lowest of his career, lowest of the season, and that was tough sledding. But different going against a Cowboys defense that, as you mentioned, Nicole, still has so many injured star players.
For sure. Before we get to, the injuries that the 49ers have.
jumped the
and
gun.
just
We're
how
like,
much that kind of could impact this game. Bonnie Jo, you had a chance to cover the 49ers for quite some time.
Yeah.
What are some things specific to the 49ers that you can tell us about?
I mean, obviously, we know they run the West Coast offense, that Shanahan offense that he had instilled from his father, Mike Shanahan, with so much success. Shanahan's got that offensive mind. We know that, I should go back, we know that the Cowboys struggle with the West Coast offense. They don't seem to figure out how to defend it. There is one thing that I want to mention is that the Niners were number one in the red zone last year. This year, they're 28th.
Yeah.
So if you look at Christian McCaffrey not being in, that's the problem because he had 18 rushing touchdowns for the 49ers in the red zone. So right there, taking away that run game, we see how it's really impacted the 49ers. And now you see all their different wideouts aren't playing. We got Debo, who's got pneumonia. You've got
Juan Jennings,
who's got the hip injury. Now you've got Brendan Ayuk, who's got the ACL, MCL. Yeah, so
tough.
It's really tough. And then you've got Ricky Pearsall, who's going to be like, their kind of glory, but then he got shot, and so he's trying to figure out his way. You've got Kittle, who now has an ankle injury. Mason's doing well in the backfield. However, you saw going up the Chiefs, if a good defense that they can actually, stop the run. So if the Cowboys can establish that and stopping the run, they will have success against this Niners team. We do know that.
That's been the problem, though, is stopping.
I know.
Except
but
for a couple of
if we
couple
do
of
have
games.
someone step up finally, I'm just saying that it is possible. And you look at the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, and he's been having a lot. Sorensen has having a lot of problems. And that's when you come from Saleh and Ryans and you have the defense at a certain level and having that front four and front seven being, so, unstoppable with all these all-pro guys and both on the edge. It's just been, it's a different defense is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, and they haven't had
the
Joe
Niners.
Greenlaw all year. He's the
Exactly.
one that hurt his Achilles in the Super
Exactly.
Bowl last year, and he and Warner, I would say, two of the finest linebackers in the league, and they're both on the same team.
Yeah.
But they have really missed Greenlaw for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Bonnie Joe brought up some of the changes with their defense. It's a difference in philosophy too with some of what they're doing. They're not running as much man. They're doing a little bit more zone. They're doing some match stuff. So it is interesting to see their defense not be what it has been. And honestly, if we're being real, this started last year towards the tail end of the year. They were struggling to stop the run at the latter part of the season. So this is kind of something that's trickled down. But as far as their defensive line goes, I could be mistaken, but they've taken some losses there too.
Hargraves out.
Yeah,
They lost
Hargraves been
Hargraves
out,
as
yeah.
well. And a lot of what they...
And their depth's not how it used to be.
Yeah.
They've had depth before, and now signing all these big players, of course, we know that comes to the territory. You can't have the depth.
Yeah, they've had the luxury. The 49ers are savvy. You understand me?
Absolutely.
Because they've had the luxury of not paying top dollar at the quarterback position, having a system that is so well put together that they can benefit from that. They've gone and get stars here and there in free agency. And they've been able to thrive off of that because people always say, like, once you pay the quarterback, it's a trickle down. But to not even have to like allocate money down the roster and things like that is a blessing, like in disguise. So they've been able to build around this team in a way, and it's interesting. Like I literally asked my homeboy that's a San Fran fan. I said, "Does somebody put a root on y'all? This ain't normal. Like, do y'all need my grandma to pray over y'all?
No,
or
it's
what's
true.
going
I keep
on?"
saying there's a curse.
Well, because I wouldn't.
The Madden curse is what they say
But
with
there's-
CMC. But
there's injuries, and the Cowboys have gotten hit with some injuries too. But this just feels decimating for them. I mean, it just, and you can't overcome 6 starters on your just like 5 starters and just your offense being injured. So they're in a tough spot. I don't like that we are excited about beating them beat up. I hate it.
I don't care. A W.
I
is a
know,
W.
but we have to get the dub, right? So it's like,
I don't care.
I understand.
Everyone's injured and
nobody
banged up by now, but not as bad
nobody
as
feels sorry
Niners.
for nobody in football.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Like
not.
nobody cares, but for me, I'm just like,
you want to meet? You want to beat them when they're actually
no,
full power?
Ain't nobody
I don't
said
know.
all of that. I'm just saying.
You don't got that same faith,
with
do
how worse off they are right now. It's like it's gonna be an asterisk by it.
So does it give you guys a little bit more hope in the Cowboys to win this game on Sunday?
Sure.
Yeah, because they have the 49ers are in a place to where they've lost so much. Like they have to me, it's a pivotal point for them. Whether they're gonna fight to win out the rest of the season, but nobody's gonna blink an eye if this season just doesn't go well for them for the rest of the season because it's just the amount of injuries, the timing. You mentioned McCaffrey, who quite honestly just revitalized their offense. Like it was good before. They added him and it was like dominant. And you mentioned the red zone efficiency and what he was doing. So it's like I think the Cowboys, to your point, you made this the other day, Nicole, is that there needs to be a sense of urgency for the Cowboys to get over this hump, no matter if they're beat up or not, and for them to take charge of their season. So I think it's a big deal.
When you guys looked at the Chiefs game against the 49ers, what were some things that you feel the Cowboys could kind of take from that game and translate it?
Well, the problem with the 49ers and their offense, they had the 3 turnovers. Brock Purdy had the 3 interceptions. And so, but what have we been talking about the last couple of weeks, and we talked about yesterday, was the Cowboys' inability to take the ball away. I mean, and Mike McCarthy talked about it coming out of the bye. You look at all the analytics, and I don't need fancy math to know that they're not taking the ball away like they did previous years. And then when they've taken the ball away, they only have 3 points out of it. So that what happened with San Francisco, it's the same thing with the Cowboys. They've got a talented team, but when you have some injuries, and things are a little more even against your opponent, the one thing that you can't do is shoot yourself in the foot with penalties and with turnovers, and that's what they've been doing. And that's why San Francisco, along with all of those injuries, they only have one win against an opponent with a winning record.
Yeah.
Which is, and they're just like the Cowboys. They've got a first place schedule. And so the good news for them is at 3-4, they still only have to catch Seattle. And by the way, that's the one team they did beat with a winning record, and they won in Seattle. So it is still out there in front of the 49ers to still take it. They, win the division, and hopefully they'll be getting McCaffrey back if you're a 49ers fan, and so they could be getting reinforcements back.
They could. They've also given up leads. If you saw the Cardinals game and the Rams game, they're up by 14, y'all. That's not normal for the Niners to give up a lead like that, and that's the Rams and the Cardinals. So I'm actually shocked that they even beat Seattle. And
That's why Sorensen's taken such heat, the new defensive coordinator. It's funny because, here all of we get a little myopic, don't we? We kind of in our Cowboys nation, everyone's focused on the Cowboys, and it's like, oh, changes, we need to do this, we need to do that. They're having the same discussions in San Francisco about coaches and whose jobs are on the line. I'm not saying Shanahan, but they're catching a lot of heat right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're also catching a lot of heat. Before I answer your question, they're also catching a lot of heat because they have had a roster that was Super Bowl worthy for the last 3 years, maybe 4, maybe 5, and they keep getting there, and then they're not winning the big game. And we talk about all the time how hard it is to even get to the Super Bowl. One of my friends brought this up to me the other day. He was mentioning, like, we're seeing all these injuries with them. They play more games. They've played significantly more games. I mean, like, obviously the Chiefs have too, whatever. But they've played more games than most NFL teams because they are getting deep into the postseason. And that stuff wears on you. I mean, these guys, and I do think there's some pressure from them too because they've had this conglomerate. I mean, they've added some guys, but they've had, like, their foundational players together for a while, and they still haven't done it. So to your point, Christy, there probably is some pressure there from them too. But to answer your question, some of the things that they did, I thought they did a good job at forcing the ball inside. And as far as the Chiefs defense, they really weren't trying to give up much deep. You had to play to IU. He was just, he get on my nerves. He's so good. But they forced the play. You saw an uptick in George Kittle's receptions. That's by design. Yeah. They're forcing them to the intermediate side of the field, but also too the Chiefs are able to get pressure. And they did so many things to even their alignment changes on their defensive line to get pressure on Brock Purdy where he didn't know it was coming from. The thing about the Shanahan system, it is very much so, very similar to the Lions, very much so about timing and rhythm.
And extending the play.
And he's not in rhythm right now, especially with all these new receivers and things like that, guys maybe not being where he thinks they're going to be. What the Chiefs also did, they disguised coverages late. And I think that confused him as well with the fact that they're not going to, with the fact that he is still learning how to read defenses and still learning how to, he and Dak Prescott have the highest rates of tight window throws in the NFL. So this tells you also, too, in this San Fran offense where we're used to seeing clear-cut separation, because they're down some guys, they're not getting the same separation. So it's just a little bit more difficult on him to pass the ball around. So, I mean, the Chiefs corners made those receivers work for everything they had, and he was forced to just take what he could get at that point. So that's what I thought they did.
I also want to mention, y'all, they were playing the Chiefs. Okay, so Patrick Mahomes is the X factor. That guy, I mean, he didn't even beat you with his arm. He beat you with his legs himself, you know? And so to see what he did against the 49ers, I think right there, I mean, if you go to the Bay Area, all they're talking about was this is the final year for the Niners to finally try to get to the Super Bowl and win it. And now you look at all these injuries piling up, and every time they've gone to the Super Bowl in the past 5 years, it's been against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have their number. They just cannot beat the Chiefs. So it's bad for the Niners organization for sure. And to see Purdy, I mean, his efficiency was off. I mean, even the way he was throwing to like non-existent windows, he just seemed like he couldn't see the field. I don't know. They're rattled over there. So this is the time for the Cowboys coming off a bye to capitalize off of this, for sure.
Well, it's going to be a test when we talk about this run game. This is something that the Cowboys defense has really struggled with, running backs. And they have a guy in Jordan Mason who, second leading rusher in the NFL. I don't want to see him at all. But anyways, all right, think about this question because we're going to be breaking down a look at Jordan Mason up next. So stick with us here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. We'll be right back.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
Cowboys Now app. Stay connected with the Dallas Cowboys on your connected TV. Catch up on all Cowboys content like player interviews, weekly TV shows, podcasts, Talk You series, like Deep Blue, and much, much more. Download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.
Go ahead.
Download
All right,
it.
download it. Ding. Where's the little ding, Jazz? Thank
There
you.
we go.
Appreciate it. All right, now I had mentioned that we're going to take a look at Jordan Mason, and something that I kind of watched a little bit of the game last night. And Jordan Mason, I don't know. One thing that I did notice is that he forces guys to miss. He can slip through small holes. He's explosive when you give him space, but the thing that the Cowboys defense have really struggled with is taking guys down, tackling. He also forced 53 missed tackles this season. That's the most in the NFL. So my question to you, ladies, is how does Jordan Mason compare to any back that we've already seen? And if he doesn't compare to any back that we've already seen, what makes him different? Start with you, Bonnie Jo.
Question.
He is, he's a unique type of running back. I think the thing that I noticed the most with him is if he crosses the line of scrimmage, you're done. So that's something that I've always noticed with Mason. So the Cowboys are really going to have to focus on that, containing him there, because after that he'll get 20, 30 yards, right? You know, you can see that. He is a versatile back, and he hits the hole quick. He knows what hole to hit, and he can do a lot. That's what I kind of love about him. He is obviously athletic and versatile, and he's got that vision and patience and durability. I mean, he gets hurt and he's, jumps back up. But as in different, I don't know how much different he is, except, some of the things that I had mentioned.
Is there someone you would compare him to? A back that we've
Maybe
already
from
seen?
a size-wise,
For
like
who he
Singletary,
played?
maybe.
We've already played.
Maybe size-wise,
yeah,
like Singletary
size-wise.
for the
He's
Giants.
not a big guy.
Well, he's not real tall.
No, he's not.
But he's a little more stout.
Yeah.
I think he's weighs in at
Strong.
like 211
Yeah.
or something like that. Maybe like Ford for the Browns back in the opener.
Maybe
size-wise.
Singletary.
Yeah, I don't know, but really a cool success story for Mason. I mean, he made this squad as an undrafted free agent 2 seasons ago, and so this is his third year, and ends up in the starting lineup for McCaffrey in the opener. And when you're averaging over 5 yards a carry, I know that you have a good offensive line in front of you, although they are missing John Feliciano, their guard. He's been on IR all year, but you know, they're opening some holes from him, but he's taking advantage of it. So, yeah, when you're this deep into the season and averaging 5.2 yards per carry, he also has 3 rushing touchdowns. And you noted how much trouble they're having once they get into the red zone. Of course, the Cowboys' offense is having trouble in the red zone as well. So this may end up a game of field goals this week. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, I think, by saying that. I really
Maybe
do.
so. But for comps in regards to Mason.
I know. Is it?
I would say in the way that he breaks tackles and just kind of, you talk about the versatility. You mentioned he can do some receiving things. He can do some rushing things. They're the same height. David Montgomery, they're the same height, but David Montgomery is heavier. But that does make a difference in like how they break tackles. I mean, but that's what David Montgomery is known for. He's not known for being a pretty runner or it's going to look all fancy schmancy. He's just going to put his arm, his shoulder down and run through you or make you miss in the open field with some situations. I mean, so I would say if you were going to say that you went up against anyone like him, to me, with the breaking tackles, it would be David Montgomery is the closest, even though David Montgomery is probably got about 20 pounds on Big Dog.
Yeah, well, the Chiefs did a good job of containing Mason, holding him to 58 yards. He's averaging over 115 a game. So what are some ways that the Cowboys could contain him? They can't, is what you're saying?
I mean,
was that what you're saying?
Certainly they can.
I mean, the best thing to do is, you know, is to tackle and to also too. I mean, like when you get a chance, because that's been the problem with the Cowboys all year this year. It's just driven me nuts, and it's the difference between last year and this year. It makes a huge difference. If you have a tackle for loss, you need to make the tackle.
Yeah.
If you have a sack, you need to make the tackle. If you feel the right gap and you're there, you got to out physical the other guy. You can't get run over. Like they have to be more physical at the point of attack, but specifically with tackling. He's also, too, what I would consider a momentum runner. He's a guy that once he makes you miss once and he mentally says, like, oh, I can make you miss, he continues to do that. And I think he is a back that can wear on you over time as the game goes on as well.
And he's got really good football, and you know those running back instincts.
Yeah, like he's natural. He's natural. Like I think we give players a hard time with San Fran because of the system and everything. But he is a natural running back, and he has ability. But yeah, it would be to finish plays when you get the chance to, because you just don't want him to get rolling and feel like he can dominate you on the ground all day.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. But it's also rallying to the ball, right? So a guy who can break the tackles, as you are all talking about, you've got to have your teammate right there to help finish it up. So,
Joe?
Yeah.
I would say physical tackling, of course, and then like the strong gap discipline. I think we need to be able to work on that as well. But it can be done. I mean, we've seen glimpses and flashes of this Cowboys defense, so this is the game to do it.
Yeah. Well, and they've had the bye week to look over things, and I have faith in Mike Zimmer. I really do. I mean, Mike Zimmer didn't come here and forget how to coach. I mean, Mike Zimmer's a great defense.
That's why this bye, I think, came at a great time. I think, you know, to readjust, to re-strategize, whatever it looks like. And no,
I don't know. I was gonna.
I hope.
No, with the Chiefs' defensive line, because Chris Jones is such a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He does like warrant extra attention, and I think that definitely opened up some things for their defense. Even when they brought a corner or nickel blitz as well. But yeah, I think the problem is when you talk about like how the Chiefs won. They did a couple of twist stunts and did some things to get them off kilter as well, because they do have the San Francisco 49ers do have some guys filling in at guard, and I don't know.
And a rookie too.
Yeah. So they will get you like get them with some miscommunication stuff. But the problem is the Cowboys can't do twist stunts and those type of stuff, because I don't know how much the trust is there for them to play their assignments from the coaches, given that they're trying to get them to just do the fundamental stuff correct in this system. So it's like doing all that stuff and trying to muddy up the trenches with miscommunication and shifts and stuff are just like, I would like to see them do more of those things, but
well, that's where I think where it kind of goes
that right now.
It goes back to where we were kind of talking about this yesterday, was the group things from practice. As far as like, I think that's how they're trying to kind of work more of those things fundamentally, but doing more group things rather than just the one-on-ones to kind of help improve with the stunts and with the different things like that. So
that makes sense.
Hopefully that kind of it pays off a little bit.
Hopefully we see that this week.
Kyle Juszczyk. Yes, I got it right.
You got it.
You got it.
Give her a D, Jazzy. That was good.
But no, what are some things that you feel like he does well? Joe.
Well, first of all, there's not a lot of teams that use a fullback like they do with him. And he is obviously all pro year after year. But what he does, not just being in the backfield and blocking, I mean, he makes these explosive plays. You have no idea where he comes from. And it's like 30, 40-yard plays in the end zone, touchdown. And he doesn't get a lot of touches. But when he does, he's got a lot of success. And so that's the problem, is trying to be able to contain, Mason, but then don't forget about Juice, because he'll be there. It's just not all the time.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because what I was going to say about him is it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a lot, but when he does, it's in the key situations.
Yes. And a lot of success with
wheel
it,
route. Yeah, catching the ball. And think of Hunter Lipke, 4 or 5 years from now, and hopefully as the season goes on, that the Cowboys can use him.
And he's got good hands.
Good hands, and can catch the ball. Yeah, and he's just one of those solid guys that you love to have on your team, and I love to watch him.
Yeah, so
but
do I.
He's kind of the Daryl Johnston.
I was about to say
Daryl
that
didn't
with
get
Moose,
all the glory, but was one of the rock solid dudes that you needed, and he's
kind of like their X factor at times.
Exactly. He's their Swiss Army knife in a way.
He's a mismatch problem. Go ahead.
I think when it comes to pass pro, I was looking at the Chiefs game though.
He's
it's
a
horrible.
luxury.
Oh no, he was bad against the Chiefs.
Oh, he's bad now.
Against the Chiefs, it was
Specifically?
a little. Yes, just the
He
Chiefs.
was getting his tail
He was
turned.
getting his
He
tail
is getting a
whooped.
little
So
long in the tooth.
there's some advantage that you could take there when you talk about this Cowboys defense.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, because I watched what was their first game of the season?
Against the Jets?
Yeah, they
I watched a
they
couple of
beat
the
the
early
Jets.
games. I've only watched half of the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Because I want to get into the other half of it this evening. But no, that's interesting that you say that, because that has always been, he does a lot of the dirty work too across the offensive line.
Like a Hunter.
It's especially and I think that's also what makes him so unique too, and why when he is a passing option, it's unique, because you don't necessarily know when they're going to use him. It typically is a surprise, because he does so much of the dirty work along the line of scrimmage. So
that's why he can be scary.
There was one play where he couldn't get his one-on-one, but he just dove to try to make the tackle just because he lost his rep.
And in fairness, the Chiefs' defensive line is they're serious, and so I do understand maybe why he's struggling there. But to your point about him and what he does for them. Like I said, it's a lot of the dirty work and some of the stuff he does. He rolls out in the flats, like he'll do some big things on third down. He's a security blanket on top of the security blanket, which is George Kittle.
Yes.
But to your point, Nicole, people have mentioned that he is getting a little older. You are seeing some of that show in game and stuff like that. But he's still a weapon, and like we mentioned, he is a mismatch problem. If you don't have a guy, if you're gonna put a linebacker on him. Maybe I've seen some linebackers be successful with him. Safeties typically are too small. He's a little bit of an issue if you don't have people who can face up one-on-one with him.
When you talk about the injuries that the 49ers are facing, with what they've got though, what's their biggest threat? Their run game or their passing game? With what they've got now,
Kittle. Kittle's to me, I think it's
with his ankle injury. Hopefully,
but if Samuels is, I know he was discharged from the hospital. That report just came out. I think when we were in the break a few minutes ago. But whether he's able to play, and then you're without Ayuk, will be placed on IR with the knee injury. Kittle's the one that is just the dagger to your heart. I've just seen it too many times from the sideline. It's like, here we go again. When you need the big play, it's Kittle or Juszczyk generally.
And he'll have a quiet game.
And all of a
Because
sudden
he shows up,
Yes, and it's
it's
like
funny you say that.
It's like Travis Kelce, right? You can keep him down maybe for a half, but then
their name doesn't get called all game.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden when it matters.
Now, for me, it's going to be the play caller. He's the biggest threat to me because they've figured out how to navigate some of this stuff. Even so, like, yeah, they've been losing some of these games and stuff, but the way they play football, there might be he's going to find ways to find some success, especially if you can't rush the passer. Because that's really what Purdy struggles with more than anything. It's just feeling the pressure and things like that. He's still young. He's still developing. And their system allows him to do things pretty quickly, but it's just like, if you can't rush the passer, I believe Shanahan's going to find a way to get these guys open. I really do. So,
what about you, Bonnie Jo? What do you think?
I would say, what's the question again? Hold
Biggest
on.
threat, run game or passing game with what they've got right now?
I'm going to say more of the run game just because of all the injuries and because the Cowboys can't seem to stop the run.
Yeah, that's probably what they're going to do.
That's what they're probably going to do, and that Mason does have success with the teams like the Cowboys, and the Cowboys, have problems with the West Coast offense. There's a lot that I think it's the run game. We all know the run game establishes their play action. I'm going to go with the run game.
Yeah. You think that you think they're gonna just come down here? They're gonna come out here and just say they're gonna run the ball, especially with Purdy having so many turnovers as of late and stuff. They don't have the receiving options.
Yeah, why do something different?
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, Nicole?
That's the obvious.
So the Cowboys are gonna have to force them to pass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that means they're gonna have to score.
Yes.
I'm about to cry.
Stop. On that note, we're going to hope you don't cry. All right? We'll be right back with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Witness the biggest boxing event in modern history at Netflix, and MVPs Paul versus Tyson and Taylor versus Serrano head to AT&T Stadium on Friday, November 15th, as the problem child, Jake El Gallo Paul, takes on the baddest man on the planet, Mike Tyson. And don't miss Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano's long-awaited rematch for the undisputed Super Lightweight Championship. Limited tickets are available now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
It's going to be a cool fight
Yeah,
to
it's
watch.
gonna be really
Do y'all
fun.
watch boxing?
Yes, I love
I do
boxing.
sometimes.
Love it.
Sometimes.
Tyson better win. Oh.
I think he was there at one of the games.
Yeah, I got
He
to interview
was.
him. I got to, and Jake Paul as well.
That's
I
right, they were
interviewed
both there.
of them pregame.
I think promoting the fight, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was really cool.
It's pretty dope. Pretty dope. All right, can we take a look at this interior offensive line real quick?
Yes.
The tackles for the offensive line for the 49ers is probably their strong suit, of course. You look at Trent Williams, and he's given edge rushers hell. And he's actually the only tackle to have both run and pass blocking grade above 84 in 2024. You look at Colton McKivitz, who's their right tackle, but this interior offensive line has been a little bit of a struggle for them this year, especially when you talk about the rookie Dominic Puney, who had their struggles against the Chiefs. But when you talk about the interior offensive line for the 49ers and the defensive tackles for the Cowboys, who has the advantage going into this matchup?
It's
It
almost
may be a
like
draw.
it could be almost a
Maybe
wash.
a
I have
draw.
basically a
Interesting.
wash, but maybe the Niners have a little bit of an advantage because they do that zone blocking scheme that create like mismatches and could be challenging for the Cowboys defenders. But with all these injuries, I think it's maybe a wash.
I think they do a good. I think they do a good. You mentioned that the tackles are probably where their strength is. I think they do a good job of trying to play on that and use them to their advantage. Dominic Puney is. He can get some work done in the run game, but I still see with him, and this is what I saw with him in college, is him finishing blocks and him he just lets go too early sometimes, and I'll just be like, dude, finish the block, go drive, He does have great recovery and things like that, and he can get to the second level and he's fluid. But yeah, that's if you can get him to unlatch, which he will do sometimes, like constant. What is the word I'm looking for? What is that? They're gonna have to play with heavy motors, if that makes sense. It's just be relentless in their pursuit, because Dominic Puney is a guy that can tire out and get exhausted with those things. As far as the matchup, baby. It's hard to say the Cowboys defensive. It's hard to say the Cowboys defensive tackles. They haven't played well enough for that. I do think that you could get Oso Digizua involved against these guys. He's a little bit more speedy than these guys. Sometimes,
I was gonna say that quickness.
sometimes Puney even so is kind of late out of his stance. You can take advantage of that. But like I agree with the girls. I think it's a McWash.
Yeah. Well, and I know the question is regarding the run game, but in the middle, when it comes to pass rush, come up, double A gap.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, go up the middle, right? And I do have one question though. Trent Williams, who got ejected, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
A great left tackle for the 49ers, a great left tackle, but got
Probably the best in the
ejected
league
from
right
the
now.
game with about 3 minutes left against the Chiefs for throwing a punch. And so, I don't know if there'll be a suspension.
No one's
but
talked
that would
about
be-
that much
But
at
it would
all,
be
which
big,
makes me wonder. I don't think they'll do it for this game.
It would be
but I
big
don't
for
know.
this Dallas defensive line that needs to get some pressure. And another thing too, specifically with Puney, is that his hand placement. I think that we don't see. Do we see a lot of penalties from the interior?
Not
as much
really.
as-
No.
Yeah,
No.
but I think Osa could catch him slipping with a couple of rip moves or quick things. Like I think that he could draw some holds in this game if he wants to. Like I said, Dominic Puney, his bread is buttered in the run game. Yeah. He's still getting better as a consistent pass blocker. So it's a wash except for Osa.
Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about
The only reason I said the advantage for a little bit the Niners is because of Trent. That was the only reason I gave a little bit. But
Sure. Yeah.
could this be a game where Mozzie could possibly generate a little bit of pressure? Hasn't all year. But
he should, yeah.
He had the good game. What was it? Washington that everyone was praising him.
See, but my thing is like I'm not looking for him to generate pressure like that.
Yeah, just
I'm
be
looking for
solid.
him to stand in there and take on double teams and be strong,
Just be
so the rest
disruptive.
of the guys can be free. Like he doesn't even have to necessarily be disruptive. He
don't
doesn't
think-
have to show up on the. It's cool for DTs too, but I'm just looking for him to be able to hold double
Just
teams
have a-
because everyone is hat on hat right now, and you're not. You're not gonna win.
You
like
sound
that.
stressed. Yeah.
Because I am stressed because it's just like
this is a great opportunity for him.
Yeah,
It
really
is.
In this
Yeah.
in this game.
It is. It's a big
particularly.
opportunity for him, and the good thing is that he is going to be going up against competition that is like it's rookie on rookie, it's nugget on nugget. You know what I'm saying? So it's fine. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
what y'all?
And Zimmer's system is set up for that. The defensive tackles do the dirty work. We were talking about San Francisco's fullback earlier.
Yeah.
Well, the defensive tackles. And Aisha's right. You've got to hold those guys up to free up your linebackers to come up. Your job as a defensive tackle in the NFL is to be a human speed bump.
Yes.
Right?
And there's nothing slowing people down right now.
That is a good analogy.
You are a human speed bump.
I never thought of that.
So if you're an offensive lineman, you are a road paver to clear the way and make things easy to move. If you're a defensive tackle, a defensive lineman, you are a human speed bump. You're trying to slow that down so that the people can come up behind you and make the plays. Football is not hard.
Yeah.
This is just kind of a generic kind of thing. There's more to it than that.
Chrissy talking about they do the dirty work, baby. It's Mr. Clean over here. You understand me? Magic eraser doesn't exist.
Aisha, I'm curious. Do you have any scouting reports on the 49ers interior
Their
line?
offensive
Because there are
linemen?
Brendel, Banks, and Burford. I mean, they're solid guys, but I think they've got a lot of young guys too. That
Say their names again.
Jake Brendel, who's their
And
starting
Banks.
center. I don't know if you had, and then Banks,
at
and
guard.
then Burford.
I just
And
put-
Spencer's a rook.
I put for Aaron Banks, he's massive. And I put huge in all caps.
I'm gonna take a look at them tonight. I glanced at
I just am
at
curious
them
what you
a little
think.
bit because I
Yeah.
know we're gonna go over them in the next
Absolutely.
couple of days. I glanced over them a little bit. I mean, as a unit, there's a reason why Mason is still.
Yeah.
They can run the ball. I think they're much stronger in run blocking than pass blocking as a unit.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to see out of Chauncey Golston? Bonnie, I'll start with you.
Wait, Christy, you go. I want to. I keep going first for everything.
Well, no, I mean, I think that you're probably referring to pass rush, but I think he just needs to set the solid edge, right? Because I think the stop and the run is going to be the number one priority here.
That's
I mean, I
number
know I
one.
mentioned Kittle earlier. He's
Yeah.
the one that scares me the most. I see as the biggest threat, especially if Deebo Samuel isn't playing. But he's just one of these. Chauncey's a guy that's one of these dirty work kind of guys that doesn't get a lot of the glory, but he does have the skill that he can, effectuate a pass rush. But I just need him to be solid, right?
And he's that's kind of what he's been, to be honest. I'm looking for him to, and it's so much to ask because he hasn't played DN much of his career. Like, guys start playing DN. We talk about even when Micah, like I remember when he transitioned, and we heard him the next year talking about, well, I'm working on this move, I'm working on this move, I'm working on, like, so Chauncey is having to develop like pass rush toolbox right now because so much of what he's been being taught before was three techie stuff. It's
Moving inside instead of
moving
outside.
inside,
Instead of being defensive end, they move him in nickel situations. When you know the other team's going to throw the ball, they move him from in to inside.
Yes.
Because usually the inside guys aren't good pass rushers. So move a guy like Chauncey inside to get that good pass rush up the middle.
And it's hard because like he in college he was never pass rushy guy. He could generate pressure, but he was mostly, I'm telling you, like when they drafted him, I remember people were like, "Oh, this is DeMarcus Lawrence. This is." It was the same talk of Marshawn Nealon and everything, but I think that he has to find, if he's gonna be out there, which he's gonna have to be. It sounds like that's. I want him to generate pass rush in some way, and I've seen him do it. We're just looking for one guy to be a threat on that defensive line. If it's because when Micah gets back. If you have at least two guys at the edge, at the very least, that people have to be like, you know what, I might need to chip him. I might need to, I'm just looking for that. I did see Carl Lawson getting some chips, but it's just like with Chauncey, I want to see him pass rush more. So this kind of sucks.
Would you expect maybe Tyrus Wheat to do a little bit better at pass rushing this week?
I think Tyrus Wheat has he has a feel for pass rush, I guess you want to say. I just feel like he knows how to utilize his size and speed very well. But he's more so a pass rush on the way to like he's stopping the run on the way to the quarterback. But I think Tyrus has an ability too. It's just they're not speedy, bendy, and that's kind of what tackles.
We talked about that before.
Yeah, that's what tackles have been training to deal with because that's what most tackles. That's what most good edge rushers are now. Like, you see some guys that are speed to power, but if you ask any scout, like, what's the most common, thing that people are drafting now, it's speed rushers. And we don't have speed rushers outside of Micah. It makes the game so much easier on these tackles. So you're just like looking for somebody to generate pressure and speed off the edge from the edge position, and you're just not getting it right now. So
yeah, generate pressure. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
And having to have a sound game, that's the biggest thing. We've seen so many times where they keep talking about details and technical and what they need to do. And if he can just play his game and generate a little bit of pressure, that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I think when Wheat came in and had the big role in the win at Pittsburgh, I mean, no one was really expecting him to get defensive snaps, but that kneeling goes down, and it was a high motor too, right? And so that kind of energy, and he ended up with half a sack and I think 4 tackles in that game. So it was a really great game.
Real fast before we wrap things up, because I know we got to go. But X factor on this defensive line, go.
Osa.
Yeah,
That's how I
yeah.
Dang
Osa.
it.
I'm gonna say
That's
Mozzie.
okay. Yeah.
I'm going Mozzie.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that one.
Yeah.
You're going with
I'm going
Mozzie?
Mozzie.
Barnacles.
We can say the same thing. It's okay.
On the defensive line.
On the defensive line.
Any edge rusher stepping up and applying pressure this week. I mean, you're just looking for one of them to be a
Someone
threat.
to stop the run.
Yeah, I think they're going to, crazy enough, it makes me want to throw up. They probably are going to stop the run decently. I think they'll be okay. Like, still developing stopping the run ability.
And you know what I want to add? I think Troy Aikman saying what he did may light a little bit of fire under them. I know people don't like what he said, but sometimes you need a little bit of that. The Cowboys are tired of having everyone pick on them, so this is the game. It's a rivalry.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Coming out of the bye, you can make
Don't
a
you agree? It
statement
could
with
be
this
something?
game.
Yeah.
Well, and if they win by 20 points,
Maybe
it'll
I'm
be,
trying to be too positive, but I'm just,
no, it's
I
just
don't know.
gonna be. Well, you beat them by 20 points,
Yeah.
but they don't have any. They don't have any of
Yeah,
their starters.
I know.
So whatever they do, the guys,
It doesn't matter. It's still a W in the
exactly.
column.
I don't
so.
care how you get it, just get it.
Still a W. Hopefully the Cowboys do get the W on Sunday. But that's a wrap for today's episode of Girls Talk, Boys Talk. For Aisha Morrison, Bonnie Jo Laughlin, Chrissy Scales, Nicole Hutchison, we will be back here tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!